Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Abe. Water Sheath 43 and 23. Book of Genesis 43 and 23. 43 and 23. Wyomer. Shalom. Lachem. El. Terao. Elohikum. We Elohi. Avicam. Natan. Lachem. Matmon. Biam T Cha Tikim. Kaspikem. Ba. Ele. Wayotzi. Alhem. Et. Shimon. And he kept on saying peace. What does the word shalom there mean? What does it actually mean, shalom?
Agreement?
Agreement. You don't have peace unless you have agreement, do you? You don't have peace until you have agreement. To you, lehem. To you, not all. All there is another form of an adverb of negation in Greek, or in not Greek, but in Hebrew. What would be an adverb of negation in Greek? What would be that word? Uk. 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 This word right here. Uk. All right. A little smooth breather over. And not you all fear. Not you all fear. Your God. Your God. Elohim, and God of your father, he has given to you. Now, Joseph is attributing their money back in their sacks to Elohim, Jehovah Elohim, El Shaddai. Remember, when they got ready to leave, Jacob said to them, or Israel said to them, what? May El Shaddai take care of you. May El Shaddai take care of you. Now, he is saying here, when they get here, he said, your God has given you back the money. He has provided for you. He put it back in your sacks. Your father, he has given to you treasure, matmon, treasure, hidden treasure, treasure you don't know about. In your sacks, your silver, kasef, your silver. We know that money is, or silver is money. Silver is money whether it's coined or not, isn't it? Back in China, when they were so hard pressed, they had bronze coins, and they didn't have enough bronze coins to circulate as money. And finally, they were, well, Mount Potosi in South America there, they started shipping silver to China, and that's where you have all this Spanish bullion and everything, the ships that have all sunk with bullion in them, with big chunks of bullion and coins and everything else. It was going to China. Going to China. The whole Spanish government was supported by Mount Potosi, and the slavery that was going on down in South America was supporting the Spanish government. It was bankrupt many times over if it hadn't been for that silver. And China would not have had anything to do with the rest of the world had it not been for the need of silver for money. Silver for money. And they would take it and they would pay their bills if they had large chunks of silver shaped like a dish, and if they only owed a little bit, they'd take and chop off a piece of it and they'd weigh it. Silver is money. So that's what it's talking about. Kasef, silver. Silver in your sacks. He had come unto me, and he had brought out unto them Simeon. All right, Simeon. Simeon means what? What does Simeon mean? One who hears. The modern word for the Muslim religion is Islam. Islam, all right? Islam. Which means one who obeys or one who hears. Simon Peter his name meant one who hears or one who obeys, one who listens. Yahweh, Ha'ish, Et, Ha'anashim, Bita, Yosef, Yetaten, Ma'im, Wayer Chatsu, Roglehem, Wayitten, Mispo, Morehem, Laka Morehem. I read that backward. Laka Morehem. All right, let's go back. And he brought and kept on bringing the men to house. Look at that word, Bitah, to the house of Joseph. The house of Joseph. What does Joseph mean? To increase and supply. To increase and supply. And he gave water. And he gave and kept on giving water. Ma'im. Remember Hashemayim, the name Hashemayim? That means the uplifted waters are heaven. The uplifted waters are heaven. And they kept on washing their feet. And he gave fodder or feed for their donkeys. La cha morehem. La cha morehem. For their donkeys. What does donkey mean? What's donkey mean? What does donkey mean?
Sure-footed.
To walk slowly and carefully. That's pretty close. To walk slowly and carefully. That's what donkey means, to walk slowly and carefully. The cross-reference scriptures to this is Genesis 18:4, 19:2, 24:32, Luke 7:44, John 13:5, and 1 Timothy 5:10. All right? He gave them fodder. He took care of their animals too. God always provides for the animals, doesn't he? Why was the Sabbath year? Why did they have a Sabbath year to where the farmer could not harvest his grain?
To let the fields rest.
Huh?
To let the fields rest so that they would produce better.
To let the fields go fallow, that was a tax. To keep the man from getting richer. That's what the whole story was, really. That's the story. And not only that, it was to provide for the animals, the beasts of the field and the birds of the air, and all of the poor. Now, he always had to leave these fields open so a poor man could go out there and harvest what he needed. He couldn't carry a lot of it off, but he could harvest what he needed. You know, what he could eat. But the reason for it is to provide for those that did not have anything. The farmer could not harvest his food, his field that year. He will not let him.
No.
And of course, you know, there for many, many hundreds of years, Israel did not follow that rule, did they? That's why you had the rich getting richer and richer and richer and richer, and the poor getting poorer and poorer, and then they were enslaving them. That was to keep that from happening. That was part of some people are very aggressively rich. We studied this morning, dire warnings and a love letter from hell. And in one of the dire warnings there in Mark, the 9th chapter, it said, if your hand offends you, if your hand calls you to go to sin, cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a sewing needle than a rich man to get into heaven. God was helping them out in the Old Testament, kind of helping them from keeping them from getting rich, so they might get to heaven easier, because their hands, their ability to work and make lots of money, would sometimes take them away from God. And I'm not saying that all rich people are bad, but riches can very much lead you away from God. How many rich children have you seen grow up? Rich children grow up and they had everything they needed and they go bad. That happens so often, doesn't it? My wife's father, General Petroleum, was started by very rich people. They owned steamliners, great big steamships that traveled from Europe to America. And they started in the oil production. A Mobil Oil company was started that way. That's how Mobil Oil got started. They had a bunch of kids, and every one of those kids were just as wild as deer because they had everything and no limits. Everything and no limits. How many of you ever gone down Highway 138 from up there by Gordon and go by Quail Lake? That mansion on the right side of the road as you're going by Quail Lake was the original people that originated Mobil Oil Company or General Petroleum, right over there on the right-hand side. Let's go on.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
What they practiced back then, what they were supposed to, like in the 7th year, give the land a rest, are they supposed to be doing that today?
Yes. That hadn't basically, if you don't rotate your crops, if you don't let your land rest, out in my neighborhood out there's a lot of farming out there. We sold 10 acres of ground to some people that didn't do anything with it for 4 or 5 years. And it was kind of poor ground before. It was real sandy soil, and the cotton crop was like this and everything. When they let that land rest for 4 or 5 years, a lot of weeds grew on it and everything else out there, and they had to go and disc them under and everything else. But the first crop of cotton that came on there, it was this tall. The ground had rested. Everything works better when you follow the rules. It simply does.
Well, I know some farmers will grow peanuts because it puts nitrates back into the ground. But I thought in the Bible you're not supposed to grow anything, just let it go.
You weren't supposed to, it will seed itself. If you grew wheat the last time on a field, you know what's going to come up the next time? Voluntarily. If you grow tomatoes, you know what's going to come up? Tomatoes. If you grow corn, you know what's going to come up? Corn. That's not their crop. That was a taxation system in the Old Testament. God taxed them, and God redistributed wealth, is what He did. Simple as that. To the poor, and even to the fowls of the air, and the animals. Yes, Brother Mike.
Now, is the 7th year always the same time for everybody? Is it always this? Well,
it was the Sabbath year.
So it would be for everybody.
It was the Sabbath year.
So there would be an abundance of non-harvest.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you just remember now, what all did the farmer have in his field? There were olives. There were almonds. There were grapes. There was wheat and barley. They didn't have any corn over there, by the way. Corn is American Indians engineered corn. There wasn't any corn over there, period. Very few beans. There were lentils. These are the crops. Whatever it was in there, that's what they get. That whole crop was somebody else's that year. Somebody else's crop. Okay? 43:26. Did we read it? Vayavo, Yosef, Habayta, Vayaviu, Lo, Et, Ha-Min-Shah, Asher, Bi-Adam, Habayeta, Vayishta-Chua, Wu, and an Aritza.
Jim,
Yes.
I think we forgot 25.
We did forget 25. I must have skipped over it. Thank you, brother. If I turn 2 pages, please tell me. We'll go back to 25. Thank you. All right. We did. Wayakinu, Et, Ha-Mincha, Ad, Bo, Joseph, Vatsaharayim, Ki, Shamiu, Ki, Sham, Yokilu, Lahem. And they prepared and kept on preparing the present, the gift. What was this gift, remember? What was the gift?
Spices.
There were spices, and there was opium. Spices and opium, and what else?
Nuts.
Pistachios. These are the things that they took to Joseph, all right? They kept on preparing the present for coming Joseph at noon or at midday. What it means is midday. Batsah haragim, at midday. Because they had heard, because there they would eat food. All right. Because they had heard, that's perfect tense there. They had heard, third person corporal plural, cal, perfect. They had heard there, that, or because there they would eat food. They would keep on eating food. They would be having a feast. Sometimes the feast would last how many days? How long would a wedding feast last? 7 days. 7 days. All right, so they're going to have a feast. It's going to be a long feast, probably. More than just one dinner. And they're going to keep on eating that dinner and that feast, all right? Now we go back to where I jumped over, and hopefully I won't jump over anymore. Wayavu, Yosef, Habaita, Wayahu, Lo, Et, Ha Min Cha, Asher, Biadam, Habayita, Wayishtach Wu, Lo, Aritza. All right. And he came and kept on coming Joseph into the house. In other words, he stayed in the house, and they brought in, and they kept on bringing in to him the gifts, the presents. They were kind of stringing them out. They'd bring him in one, let him, and then he would have another procession, and they'd bring him in. Joseph was like a king. He was a king. He's like a prince of the land. And by the way, this is another fulfillment of Genesis 37, 7 and 8. And 9 through 11, where it says that they would bow down to him. And they didn't. They got real mad, didn't they? When Joseph revealed this dream to them when he was with them. And they kept on bringing in. They would have one procession after another where they would come in and they'd bring in and lay gifts at his feet. Lay gifts at his feet, and every time that they laid a gift, they would fall down to the ground and bow to him. Let's go back to Genesis 37. Genesis 37. And see this prophecy that they didn't like. My pages are stuck together like those other ones did. 37. And he said to them, listen now, here I pray, I beg you, this dream that I have dreamed. We brothers were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf rose up and stood upright, and behold, your sheaf stood around about my sheaf and bowed down. And his brother said to him, shall you indeed reign over us? Are you going to have us as subjects and dominate us? And they hated him the more for his dream and for what he had said. But Joseph dreamed yet another dream, and told to his brothers also. And he said, see here, I have dreamed again, and behold, this time, not only 11 stars, but also the sun and the moon bowed down and did reverence to me. And he told it to his father as well as his brother. But his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this meaning of this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually bow down ourselves to the earth and do homage to you? All right. That's what was going to happen. That was prophecy. And God sent that hypnotic trance to him, didn't he? How do you say the word for dream in Greek? Hypnose. Thank you very much. Chris, you got an A+. All right. And that was the fulfillment. God sent this hypnotic trance to him, and now he had it. Now let's go to 43:27. Wayishal, Lahem, Li Shalom, Wayomer, Ha Shalom, Avikem, Hazagan, Asher, Amartim, Ha'odinu. Hey. And he kept on asking them concerning peace, the welfare, the agreements. And he said, the peace to your father. And the old man of whom, the old Zochar, the geriatric, the word is geriatric in Greek. The old man, ha-zagen, that comes from zagen, Zochar. The old man of whom you had spoken, or you have spoken. Is he still alive? Is he still haya? Is he still alive? Is this old man still alive? He's worried about his father, isn't he? He's worried about his father. 43:28. Wayomaru, Shalom, Li Avidika, Li Avinu, Odenu, He, Wayid Gedu, Wayish Takshu. And they kept on saying, peace, peace, shalom, 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 over and over again to your servant. All right? To our father still alive. And they kept on bowing themselves. They kept on bowing themselves. And they kept on prostrating themselves. Third person masculine, Hishbael, wow, consecutive and perfect. They kept on bowing themselves down. They kept on fulfilling the prophecy of the dream that Joseph had had. 43:29 now. Joseph, can you imagine how Joseph felt as he sees his brothers? And now he's beginning to talk to them. He is getting acquainted with them again. He's feeling them out. He's testing them in many, many ways to see what kind of stuff they're made out of. See if they have changed since they tried to murder him. Did they really murder his brother? What's going on? Is his brother still alive? Is his father still alive? Did these boys turn on the father and kill him? He wants to know. Because he knows what they're made out of before. Wayisa. And now. Wayar. Et Benjamin. Achi. Ben Imo. Wayomer. Hazeh. Achikem. Ha-katon, Asher, Amotem, Eleh, Wayomer, Elohim, Yachinuka, Beni. Now look and see at the action of these words here now. And he raised, and he kept on raising up his eyes, and he saw Benjamin. Benjamin. What does Benjamin mean? Benjamin. Son of the right hand. Ben, son of the right hand. Benjamin. Son of the right hand. His brother. Son of his mother. This is his full brother now. His full brother. And he said, and kept on saying, this, your brother, the youngest, of whom you have spoken, of whom you have spoken. See that second person, masculine plural, cal perfect. See, the one that you have spoken of. Unto me. And he kept on saying, Elohim, may he be gracious to you. May he be merciful to you. Third person masculine singular, cal jusic in meaning. Suffix is second person masculine singular. May he be gracious to you, my son. 43 and verse 30. Now it's taken its toll on Joseph. This emotional time is taking its toll on Joseph. Why Macher? Joseph. He. Nick Meru. Rachamo. El Aki. Why Vagesh? Liv Koth. Wayavo. Ha Chadra. Wayavek, Shammah. And he hurried. And look at this. And what stem is that he hurried? What stem is this in? What stem? Third person masculine singular, what stem? PL stem, which means with great force and power. And he hurried. And he hurried with force. Joseph. Because had grown agitated and warm. Hot. His emotions. Have you ever seen someone that you loved so much and you thought they had died? And when you saw them, you just ran and grabbed them and started crying. I remember many years ago, my grandmother got killed in 1960. Well, she got hurt in 1960, and she died in 1961 in early January. She lived for a week. And I kept hearing her voice in my dreams. I kept hearing her voice over and over and over again. I could see her. And I just wanted to hold her one more time. And all of your emotion goes out, I'd wake up crying. She was my mother. She was the one that took care of me. She was the person that watched over me all my early life. And I was young, still. After I got married and had a couple of children, my youngest boy was riding up and down the street on a bicycle. And I was going out, I was pastoring a church, and I was going out to visitation. And my son had just left on his bicycle. And I looked down the street, and this car was sitting on top of the bicycle. And everybody was all around. I went down there as fast as I could and looked. I figured my son had gotten killed or very badly injured. And another little boy had been run over that was riding with him. And my boy was okay, and I grabbed him and I just cried. The relief of it. When I saw him, the emotion you cannot control. Emotion you cannot control. And he hurried with great force, Joseph, because his whole inward being, the Greeks said your bowels were stirring. And if you see someone that you love so much get hurt, your bowels will twist. Your bowels will twist. Sometimes animals, when they get scared or they see something that very much traumatizes them or causes them great emotion, their bowels will stir. And his feelings and his emotions unto his brother, and he kept on violently seeking to weep. And he kept on weeping. He took off and he ran out. He went to the bathroom. And he came into the bathroom, into the toilet, into the bathroom, the inner chamber. That's where the toilet was. The Egyptians had toilets. All right? This is the toilet room. This was a bathroom. This was a restroom. Okay? In the inner part of the house. And he came into that lavatory, into that restroom. And he kept on weeping there. 43 and verse 31.
And how old would Benjamin be at this point?
He was, I can't tell you for sure, because I'd have to go back and look and figure it out.
I think Joseph.
But he would be grown.
Joseph is 30.
Well, Joseph was 30 when he began, and his brother was younger than him, so he's grown.
Well, I think Joseph was 17 when they took him, but now it's 13 years later.
He was 30 years old when he began to rule over Egypt.
So that's about this time.
Now he's probably, 20, at least 20 years old, somewhere around there, around 20 years old.
So he was 30 when he became.
He became, yeah.
Because that's part of the whole.
He was a type of Christ. Christ began his ministry when he was 30 years old. Remember, Joseph is a type of Christ, and Joseph is gracious. Okay?
Did Jacob put Benjamin over his brothers after that, or who was over?
Well, we're
over
going to
brothers?
read that in just a few minutes.
When they got rid of Joseph.
I don't know, but he kept him close. He kept him close. He kept Benjamin close. He wasn't going to let him out of his sight. He wouldn't let his other brothers go near him. We don't hear much about Benjamin at all, period. Wa'yer Chots, Panal, Wa'yitzi, Wa'yit Apak, Wa'yomer, Semu, Lehem. And he washed. He kept on washing his face. Just think about this now. They wore all makeup. So Joseph had to wash his face, and he had to put his makeup back on. Because the Egyptians wore makeup. What kind of makeup did they wear?
It's sort of a coal lead-based thing. Around
Yeah, they would darken their eyes, and they would line their eyes and their eyebrows, and they put a lot of makeup, and they'd make little things out here from the side of their eyes like this. They would do all this, kind of like girls today do.
I'll come in next Sunday looking like that.
Oh, I dare you.
I'll come in almost like a troll or something.
You'll look like. How about? Would you like me to bring in a video to show you this? Would you like me to show that for a few minutes? How their eye makeup was? I can do that because I have some at home.
I think I've seen it in some movies where they try to imitate that.
Yeah. This is pretty factual. That really, this video I have is very, very accurate when it comes to some of these things, and it shows them. They wore their face and their hair in a certain way. The Egyptians were very clean, remember. They took a bath every day, sometimes more than once a day. And they couldn't stand to be in the room with somebody that wasn't bathed. Remember when Joseph was brought before the Pharaoh, they had to clean him up, they had to bathe him, and shave all his hair off his arms and legs and underneath his arms, his face and everything else. They had to shave him and give him a haircut before he could walk into the presence of Pharaoh.
How many hours would that take to prepare him? To get ready to go to the Pharaoh that time when he said he shaved, I go, process.
Sarah was in the process of being cleansed when Pharaoh took her as his wife. She wasn't fit company for Pharaoh, and so she was bathed over and over and over again, and cleansed, and painted, and makeup put on her and everything else. She wasn't ready to be in Pharaoh's. So now here we have Joseph. He goes to the bathroom. He's in there, he's weeping in the bathroom, and then he washes his face and cleans himself all up and puts his makeup back on. And when you've been crying, your face gets red and all this, so he spent some time in there, okay? This wasn't just like zip right now, okay? And he washed and kept on washing his face until he looked into a mirror, which would be what? What would a mirror like that be back then? It's not a mirror like we see today. What would it be? What?
Polished silver.
It would be like a polished silver or gold. Probably silver. Polished. Highly polished. He could see himself in that. And he went out and he controlled himself. And he kept on saying, put on bread. Put on the feast. Put on the eats. Put on the eats. Masculine, plural, cal, imperative. Put on the eats. 43:32, A and B. Wa'yisimu, lo, livado, wilahem, livadam, wila mitzrim, ha'okelim, ito, livadam, ki, Lo, Ukilu, Ha Mitzrim, Li, Ikov, Et, Ha Ivrim, Lehem, Ki, To, Vito, Viva, He, Me, Li, Mitzrayim. I'm trying to read it backwards. And they put on, and they kept on putting on for him by himself, for them by themselves. He kept on putting a separation between them. For the Egyptians, the ones eating with him by themselves, because not they are able, the Egyptians. What does the word Egyptian, Mitzrayim, what does it mean? Land of red mud and canals and bulwark. The Egyptians are able to eat with the Hebrews. He-Ivrim. What does He-Ivrim mean? From beyond the river. Bread. Because. Taboo. Abomination. It. To in Egypt. Let's look at this now. The Hebrews ate different food. The Egyptians were a very clean people. A very clean people. And they didn't trust any food that had been touched by a Hebrew. Now, I'm sure that these boys had to take a bath now to even be in Joseph's presence. They all had to bathe. Probably went out there and bathed in the Nile River or some bathtub someplace and cleaned themselves and washed themselves. And it said here that they'd washed their hands with water and their feet with water, and I'm sure they washed themselves with water. They didn't want to smell bad and go in there. And the Jews always have a habit of doing what? What is their attire? What is their facial attire? Different than the Hebrews. They wore a lot of long hair, and they wore beards. Okay? And the Jews, or the Egyptians, looked upon that as dirty and unclean. They like clean shaven. They like being clean shaven. All right? Now the Jews today are just the opposite, aren't they? They only eat kosher food, don't they? Food that is killed and prepared according to their laws. They have to have everything kosher. They don't eat certain foods. They will not do it. Well, here the tables were turned on them. The Egyptians didn't feel that they were fit. They didn't trust them. They didn't trust their cleanliness at all. Vayishru lefano habikor kivkorato wihatz se'er kitsiroto wayit mehu ha'anashim ish el rihehu. All right? And they kept on setting before his face the firstborn. The firstborn. All right? They kept on doing this. According to his birthright. And the younger, according to his youth. And they kept on being astonished, the men, each one, unto his companion, his friend, his neighbor. They didn't understand how in the world did Joseph know who was the oldest and who was the youngest. How did he do this? Is he some kind of mind reader? Is he? And he claimed to be, didn't he? Did he not?
Yes.
Did he not claim to be a prophet? Joseph claimed to be a prophet, according to them. He claimed to be a prophet. He claimed to be able to look into their hearts. 43:34. Vayisah, Masoth, Miet, Hanal, Alahem, Waterev, Masoth, Benjamin, Mim Masoth, Kulam, Hamesh, Yadov, Wayish Tu, Wayish Keru, Imo. And one bore portions. One of the servants kept on bearing portions from his face unto them. They were going and they were carrying the food by Joseph and then going and delivering it to the different people's place. Now, what did they were set at this big long table, evidently, of some sort, either whether they were laying up to it or whatever. Okay? We know that the Jews laid on the ground and up to like a little short coffee table, and they would eat with one hand. How they were eating here in this area, they may have been sitting on benches or chairs. All right? And he kept on carrying unto them, and it kept on being much greater, the portion of Benjamin. Now, he's the youngest one, isn't he? Now, who should be getting the biggest portion here? The Lord. The oldest one. But Benjamin, or Joseph, is not doing that. Then the portions of all of them, 5 times greater. His portion was 5 times greater than all the rest. And they kept on drinking, and they kept on becoming drunk with him.
Yeah.
They kept on becoming inebriated. They were really having a good old party time. Yes, that's true.
So in the Amplified Version, when it says they drank freely and were merry with him, does merry mean drunk and inebriated?
Yes, they were drunk.
That's what merry means.
Yeah, merry. They were high. They were walking high. All right? They were walking a little bit off the ground. Their steps were a little bit high. They were high. Okay? They were intoxicated. Simple as that. They were intoxicated. They kept on drinking and they kept on being intoxicated. 44 and verse 1. We finished the 43rd chapter. We're in the 44th chapter. You know how many chapters we got left?
6.
6 chapters, and that's it. 6 chapters. And the Lord has let me get this far with it, and I'm very thankful. Yeah. I didn't think I'd ever make it. By your prayers, I have. White soul. Et asher. All be told. Lamor. Malay. Et antichah. Ha-anashim. Okel. Ka-asher. Ukelum. Theeth. Wisham. Kef-kaseh. Ish. Befet. Antato. All I can say, I've been through all of this problem that I've had with poison and everything. I have to say, like Sergeant Alvin York said, when he stood there in front of those Germans, 35 machine guns pointed at him, firing hundreds and hundreds of rounds, cutting the trees down, cutting all the grass down, all the vegetation ground. And him asking every time he killed one of those machine gunners, he'd say, "Do you guys want to surrender? I don't want to kill anymore." And they wouldn't surrender, so he'd kill another one. He'd kill another one. He'd kill another one. He fired 28 shells and killed 28 men with 28 shells. Never missed. That general asked him, "How on earth did you do this?" He said, "It wasn't me. It was God. A higher power did it. It wasn't me that lived through all of this to get you this far. It was a higher power." That's all it. And he kept on commanding them forcefully, one who over his house, saying, see that word PL stem? Now he's using the PL stem again. "Fill it up! Fill it up! Fill it up!" The sacks of the men with food, just as, is what actually is kasher, just as, comes from ki and asher, 2 roots. And they kept on being able to carry and place the silver of each in its mouth of his sack. 42 and verse 2. We have Gavi, Gavia, Ha-Kaseh, Tasim, Befi, Am-Tachat, Ha-Katon, Weah, Kaseh, Shevro, Wayas, Kidvar, Yosef, Asher, Debek. All right. And my cup, the one that's silver, the cup that's silver. See that one? The one that's made out of money. Okay? You place in the mouth of the sack of the youngest one, and the silver of his grain, and he did. He kept on doing according to the word, Kedavar. See that word? The word is in there. The var is in that one. All right, the word Devar is in that one. Page 180 and 210 is, if you want to write down below that, 180 and 210 are the two roots in Brown, Driver, and Briggs, and Kohler and Baumgartner. And then Joseph, which he had spoken. See here we have the word Debar again. Debar. Third person masculine, PL, perfect. He did this forcefully. He spoke to them. 42 and verse 3.
Jim, on my little notes here,
Yes.
mine says that his silver cup was a symbol of authority and was thought to have supernatural powers, and they were used to predict the future. They
That's right.
poured water in the cup and then interpreted the
Yes.
reflections and
Yes.
stuff in the cup.
That's what they did. We're going to get into that a little bit later. This is his divining cup, okay? This is his divining cup. This is his fortune-telling cup, all right? Now, we know that Joseph didn't use this as such because he depended on God for his information. But he put this cup in there. Evidently, he had inherited this cup from somebody, and he had it as a symbol of authority, and it was a symbol of supernatural abilities, okay? Which Joseph had supernatural abilities, didn't he? We know that he had supernatural abilities. Haboker, or we ha nashim, shulaket, shulaku, hema, we ha moredkin. The breaking of the day, the morning light, and the men, they were sent away, they and their donkeys, their little ha-ha-morichin. What is that little donkey's name? Dakota used to have a little donkey. What was his name? The little donkey in the cartoons and in the what was the little donkey's name? Eeyore? Well, see here, it is from this. Eeyore is the root of this word right here. Hama-orikim. They're donkeys. Eeyores. Okay? Eeyores. I had to think of that myself. How come you didn't think of that, Dakota? To walk slowly and carefully. To walk slowly and carefully. Ham. Got to turn this whole machine over. We got started late tonight. I kept waiting for other people to show up, but they didn't. Where am I?
Yetsu.
What?
Second word.
Second word. All right. Ham, Yetsu, Het, Ha'er, Lo, Hira, Chikik, Chikuk, We Yosef, Amar, La Asher, Al, Bito, Kum, Ridof, Achere, Ha'anashim, We Hisak Tom, We Amarta, Alehem, Lama, Shilamtim, Ra'ah, Ta-cha, Tovra. And they had gone out the city. They had passed the guarded place. The city there means the guarded place with towers. They were outside of the city and outside of the city walls, outside of the guard towers, not they having gone far. And Joseph, he had said to one who over his house, you rise up and you pursue them. After, follow the men. And you overtake them. And you say unto them, why all you have repaid. Look at this word repaid there. What stem is that in? What stem is that in? Sharon, you know what stem that's in? Down there, below that word? Shilamtem. What stem is that in? That's that PL, second person masculine plural, PL, perfect. You have repaid. You all have repaid. Why have you rewarded? PL sin. Why have you meanly rewarded evil in place of pleasant? Evil in place of good. Evil. Sin. That word is, sin is in that word. That old snake is in that word. In the place of pleasant or good. Tov. Boka tov.
Good morning.
Good morning, good day. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Zeh.
Zeh.
Asher. Yistech. Adonai. Baal. Wihu. Nashesh. Ye Nashesh. Bo. Harat Atam. Asher. Asetim. The not. That's what it says. We have a definite article in front of a not here. An adverb of negation. The not this which is accustomed to drink, he keeps on drinking. Third person masculine singular, cal imperfect. He keeps on drinking, my Lord. By him or in it. And he divines. See, here we go. This is it. Now we got to it. This is the divining cup. This is the cup where they poured water in it, and sometimes they would pour oil in it and see which way to go. What to do. Okay? Laban had one of these in Genesis, the 30th chapter. Laban had one of these. Laban had a divining cup. Did you know that? He had a divining cup. And he also used those teraphim in there, those gods, his ancestors, the little statues of his ancestors. He'd get his divining cup out, and he'd put them out, and he'd light candles around them, light oil around them, and then he'd ask the ancestors what to do. All right. He is accustomed to practice divination. This word is ye nahash. Ni nahash. Look at that word. Say that, nahash. What do you think that is? That's Satan. That's the old snake right there. That's the snake. That is the deceiving one. Third person singular, PL imperfect. The whispering one. This is how he whispers. This is how he divines. See that? That's in the word right there. He practiced divination. He practiced seeking spirit realm for answers and for direction. By him. By it. You have done evil. What have you done? Genesis 30 and verse 27, 44 and verse 15, Leviticus 19, 26, Deuteronomy 18, 10 through 14 are all cross-references to this type of thing here. This divining bowl, the divining bowl, okay? These are prophets of Baal, the prophets of Baal. What does Baal mean? Baal.
Like Satan, but
It means Lord. It means Lord or God. Baal is a Lord or a God.
Jim,
The prophets of Baal. Yes.
This is Joseph's cup, but did he practice the divination?
No, that's what they said.
Oh, okay.
They just said that. I mean, they're giving them a line of baloney. A mile long. This is a real snow job, okay?
So it wasn't his pay, because
No.
it doesn't make sense.
He didn't use this for that. He had God.
But
But this was the practice of the people. This was the practice of the priest. And who was his wife related to? She was of the priestly family. All right? And all of them had divining cups. And I'm sure they presented Joseph with one, even though he didn't need it, he had it. All right? But he uses it now as a ploy, as a pawn to get into this game. Okay? This is like a poker chip into this game. Wayas sigim. Wadabar. Alehem. Et hadabarim. Ha'ileh. And he overtook, he kept on overtaking them, and he spoke forcefully. He spoke with power unto them. the words, the statement, the these. 44 and verse 7. These are the words that he spoke. Vayomeru, Elau, Lama, Yedabar, Adonai, Kadebarim, Ha'ileh, Halilai, Halila, La Abedika, Mi Aso, Kadavar, Hazeh. And they kept on saying unto him, why? Should you speak words, my Lord, according to the words of these? Far let it be from your servants, from doing, practicing, doing, according to the word of this. The thought thickens, the plot thickens, doesn't it? Hana Kasef, Asher, Matsanu, Bifi, Antikatem, Hashevanu, Ilaka, Me'eretz, Canaan, Week, Nignu, Mibeeth, Adonika, Kasef, O Zahah. And behold, silver, which we have found in the mouth of your sacks, we returned. These boys are really in bad shape here. The chickens have come home to roost. All their evil deeds have come home. They're in trouble. God has found them out, and God is working them over. Their consciences. Remember last week I talked about no name on the bullet? Remember when Audie Murphy played that guy, the killer, the assassin that went into this town, and the town was full of crooks. And all of them were shooting each other and threatening each other. They thought that they had hired him to kill them because every one of them was guilty of some terrible deed. Well, these boys have got guilty consciences. They've got guilty consciences. And now they're trying to defend themselves. Behold, money which we have found in the mouth of our sacks we returned unto you, and from land of Canaan. And how should we steal? Look at that word, the word steal. How should we nigno? How should we steal? Nigno. Nigno. How should we steal from the house of your Lord? Silver or gold? How would we do this? We're afraid.
Do you think
God is finding us out, yes.
Do you think the brothers were looking at one another, wondering which one stole it? Because they're all so bad?
No, I think that they think that God's getting even.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they think that God is picking them out and picking on them.
But do you think they're accusing one another of stealing it? Or?
I don't think they're accusing one another. They're saying, look what we did. They're looking to the past, and we're going to see that later on. They're looking to the past. And they kept on saying to others, see, God has got us. He has put us down here in this land with this powerful man, and we're guilty. And we are guilty of all of this. We are guilty. He has found us out, and now we are getting our just rewards. We are being hung by the neck until dead. And they could have been. They could have been strung up. They could have been crucified. They could have been stoned to death. They could have been drowned. And they knew it was rightfully so.
Well, do you think Joseph was right to do this, to play with him like that?
Joseph was trying to figure them out. Joseph sitting back watching. They don't know that Joseph can speak Hebrew. They don't know that he can hear Hebrew. And so they're out there on the other side of him, and they're bawling to each other. You'll see this. It's all here for the mic.
Now, I've heard a lot of preachers preach on this. Do you think Joseph was frustrated or envious, or do you just think he was concerned for his brother and his father?
He was concerned what they're made out of.
Yeah,
he wants to know what they're made out of.
That's why he gave.
He wants to know if they have repentance in them. He wants to know this. He wants to know what kind of boys these brothers of his are. Can he trust them at all? Was their brother alive? Yeah, he found out that the brother was alive. Now, how about Daddy? Is he really alive? And He's bringing them down, and God's Spirit is working with them too. God's Spirit is working with Joseph. Does the Holy Spirit work with Jesus in the preaching of the gospel? I preached a very evangelistic sermon this morning. And last Wednesday night too. 2 evangelistic sermons. And I prayed every time when I got through it, I prayed that God's Spirit would go out there. I couldn't save anybody. I can't even save myself. But God's Spirit with the Word of God can touch souls. And people can be saved. People can be saved. What was the name of the sermon this morning? Dire warnings and a love letter from hell. That was it. 44 and verse 9, and we're going to quit here. 44 and verse 9. Asher, Yamatsi, Ito, Mi Abadika, Wanet, Wigal, Ananu, Niye, Le'adonai, La Abadim. Whomever he may be, keep on being found, him, of your servants, he shall die. And also we shall become to my Lord for slaves. Now he's speaking very confidently, isn't he? Very confidently, because they don't believe that they've got this there. They don't think that they've got it here. Well, that's previews of coming attractions. We went from 43:22. So 43:23, 23 to 44:10. All right. So we got a little no name on the bullet. We got a little guilty conscience here. We got the chickens coming home to roost, and we're going to see what in the world happens next week. See what happens next week. Do you want to read the Amplified Bible? Did you bring that with you, or do you have that? Or you want to come up here and read that real loud? You'll have to read right into the microphone because that thing back there is not working. You want to do that, Chris? I even got one. I even have one here today.
I don't remember where.
43:23 to 44:10. Quite a long reading. We covered a lot of ground today. Been trying to cover as much ground as I can. I'm not testing the Lord. I'm just thankful that I'm here. They'll read real loud there.
Okay.
And right into the microphone, kind of sort.
But the steward said, "Peace be to you. Fear not. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I received your money," and he brought Simeon out to them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys provender. And they made ready the present they had brought for Joseph before his coming at noon, for they heard that they were to dine there. And when Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present which they had with them, and bowed themselves to him to the ground. He asked them of their welfare, and said, "Is your old father well, of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" And they answered, "Your servant our father is in good health. He is still alive." And they bowed down their heads and made obeisance. And he looked up and saw his full brother Benjamin, his mother's only other son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother, of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." And Joseph hurried from the room, for his heart yearned for his brother, and he sought privacy to weep. So he entered his chamber and wept there. And he washed his face and went out, and restraining himself said, "Let dinner be served." And the servants set out the food for Joseph by himself, and for his brothers by themselves, and for those Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, according to the Egyptian custom not to eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And Joseph's brothers were given seats before him, the eldest according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another amazed that so much was known about them. Joseph took and sent helpings to them from before him, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs, and they drank freely and were merry with him. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, with his grain money. And the steward did according to what Joseph had said. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. When they had left the city and were not yet far away, Joseph said to his steward, Up, follow after the men. And when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you rewarded evil for good? Why have you stolen the silver cup? Is it not my master's drinking cup with which he divines the future? You have done wrong in doing this. And the steward overtook them, and he said to them these same words. They said to him, Why does my Lord say these things? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. Note that the money which we found in the mouths of our sacks we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. Is it likely then that we would steal from your master's house silver or gold? How far is this supposed to read?
To 10.
To 10.
Well, 9.
9. With whomever of your servants your master's cup is found, not only let that one die, but the rest of us will be my Lord's slaves.
All right, there we go. We'll start off at 43 and verse 10 next week. Well, do you have any questions? Or I turn you loose on the world.
Sharon had a question.
Sharon, you have a question.
I'll get it.
I lost my bullet. When the when the Jews were in the desert, a lot of them died when they were doing 40 years in the
Yes.
desert. Would any of them have been saved at that time and gone to heaven?
They would have gone to Abraham's bosom if they were saved.
So maybe not all of them would have been believers.
Not all of them were believers, no. No. We know that. God had to kill them. He had to clean house several times. There were different times he cleaned house. And he told them they were not worthy going into the promised land. And so they all had to die except for Jacob, or Joshua and Caleb. That was the only 2. And they wanted the mountain where the giants were. The other ones were afraid of the Nephilim. But they said, give us the Nephilim, because we know that there's a higher power. We know that there's a higher power. We can whoop them with Jehovah. We can do it. All right? Anybody? And Chris.
When they took the different things as gifts, and you said, was it opium or
Yes,
laudanum?
opium.
What were they doing with that in those days? Were they getting high on that?
They were using it for painkiller.
For painkillers?
Painkillers and maybe getting high. I don't know.
They could have been misusing it, too.
They could have, yes. But they brought that because it was a rare drug.
Not anymore.
I moved out when I was young. My mother got married, and the house where we had grown up, where my grandmother and grandfather had bought the place, I bought it from my mother. I bought this place from her. And it had a full crop of opium in the backyard. She had rented it out to these drug heads, these dope heads, and they had planted opium all in the backyard. And I didn't know what opium was. I went out there, it's a poppy. It's in the onion family. Onions have opium in them, by the way. Wild onions have a lot of opium in them. I mean, you can get pretty high eating wild onions.
Maybe
You know
that's
that?
why onions don't agree with me.
Yeah.
It's an opiate. All right. The Chinese used opium for a long time. People have used opium all through the years. Cocaine was, the federal drug and they have denounced that certain drugs are illegal drugs. They've always been around. Cocaine has always been around. You know, when they first started making Coca-Cola,
Yeah, I had it in there.
it had cocaine in it. It would make you high and just, zap you up, I think some of these Red Bulls and all this kind of stuff, it's got, like cocaine in it, it's got some type of caffeine or something that speeds your metabolism up and makes you gives you a lot of energy. Sugar is an opiate. Sugar is an opiate, not an opium of the opium family, but it is very addictive. It is extremely addictive. It is one of the most addictive foods in the world. Sugar is.
Well,
Most of the world for hundreds of years did not have sugar. But when sugar started being processed, it was pretty much processed in the Middle East. And the kings of Europe got a taste for it. One king says, as he watched he got the sugar from the Middle East, and he was watching his son eat his first frosting on his birthday cake. He was like 2 years old, and he fed him the ambrosia, he says, and his eyes lit up, and he just, and he just ate and ate and ate this cake with the sugar on it. Sugar, once you acquire a taste for sugar, it is very addictive. Alcohol is addictive. Tobacco is addictive. And we were talking earlier about something depleting all the nutrients out of the soil. Tobacco depletes more nutrients out of the soil than anything else. It completely zaps everything out of the soil. They can only grow tobacco for a very short time on a certain place because it would sap everything out of the soil. All right. That give you a little extra there I gave you.
well, when you talk about opium or heroin or cocaine, they're not true painkillers. They make you not care about the pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then when you get addicted to it, you just want more because
Yes.
it takes more to give you that feeling of not
Yes.
caring about the pain. Other drugs are painkillers.
All
So-
painkillers can become addictive, period. Even Tylenol. Even Tylenol. All of this stuff can. Tobacco and sugar caused more slavery in the world than any other foods in history. Caused more slavery. Slave plantations or tobacco plantations, which takes a lot of hand labor, and the sugar plantations took a lot of hand labor and tremendous slavery on them. All right? Anything else? Any other questions? No? All right. Brother Mike, you want to come up here and lead us in prayer, brother? Would you mind?
Let's pray. Father God, we come to you today. We thank you for your holy presence. We thank you for the joy and the enrichment that we've received from Pastor Jim today. We thank him. We absolutely love this church, and we thank you for all the wonder that happens. We thank you for our freedom. We thank you for this beautiful weather today. Let us all take everything day by day. We glorify you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.